Thanks for joining us. And if you want to be part of the show, you can interact with us and chat with fellow Sharks fans all over the world in Sharks territory and all over the world, indeed, for the next few games on the page or the app on YouTube. Of course, you want to follow us on the social Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Reddit, Discord, and of course, our new one, TikTok. And find everything at tealtownusa.com. And with that, we bid you a pleasant hello to the 2022-23 season. I am Erik Kuhre, pleased to be joined by Mr. Erik Landi.
Guten Abend. Guten Abend, mein Mensch. It's good to be here. I liked this little tune-up we have in the Deutschland. As you can tell, I'm a purveyor of things German. I like their food, their dogs, their people, and their country. It's all awesome. So if you haven't already celebrated Oktoberfest, you should do that.
Right? Seriously. So welcome, everyone. This is essentially the premiere for Teal Town After Dark, Season 9. Believe it or not, a full season number 8 for us here at Teal Town USA. So if you're new here, I know, where's the time gone? If you're new here, thanks for joining us and finding us here on the YouTube. Please smash that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. That'll let you know when we do go live. Of course, look for us after every single Sharks game, home and away, in North America or in Europe, either way.
Actually, you joke about that, but we do have a couple friends actually out there in Germany, and we know that Mika was watching out there, from his spot, and I wonder. Hopefully he made it out to the game, but I'm not sure. But again, it just goes to show you, we've been doing this for 9 seasons, and getting the fan base and the support and everybody who's hopped on with us from day one. We really appreciate it because without you guys and gals, we wouldn't be able to do the show, and we wouldn't have an audience to do the show for and give us a space to talk about the Sharks. So come one, come all, from all corners of the globe. I think that's the beautiful thing about the Sharks fan base is that it's so diverse. I saw the new ad spots CSN was putting together with the Sharks organization, with the Teal together, and a lot of women representation and a lot of women of color, which I really appreciated, especially being half Latino myself. It's really good to see the Sharks continuing that outreach that they've done so well since '91. So, again, the Global Series is just another tip of the cap, a little feather in the cap, so to speak, for that outreach. And again, like I said before, and said in the DMs too, it's the Sharks representing San Jose abroad, and as fellow Bay Area natives, we really take pride in our teams, going out and doing a good job representing us, as a fan base and as a from the civic perspective as well. So again, it was really awesome to see. And then the game itself, I thought, had some really interesting pieces to it. I felt that, the adjustments needed for the wider ice you could see that evident in that first period. They kind of got their footing and almost looked like they adapted the North American style game to the rink in that second period. And in that third period, I think that's kind of when the star power took over. So again, I think for the Sharks, it's a good tune-up, good little scare in that first period to kind of wake them up. Again, I think good building block going into this season.
Yeah, no, it's a nice, like I said at the top of the program, it was a nice pit stop to check out all the happenings in Germany, and the guys got a good time in. Took in some touring, did some touring, took in a soccer match. And it's an adjustment because the European style is 200 by 100. Now, from what I've been understood, and I remember when the Sharks went to Sweden about 10, 11 years ago, they will play on an NHL size rink, 200 by 85, when they go to Prague for the games on Friday and Saturday. So if there's any confusion, but tonight this one was 200 by 100, and yeah, going back and forth might be a little bit tough and might be adjustment. But Landi, I mean, granted, while it was a scoreless first period, and they outshot Eisbaren Berlin 11-6 in the period. And yeah, I thought they needed to get their feet going, but they didn't look too bad in the opening frame.
So my biggest takeaway from that opening frame was we didn't see a lot of play below the goal line. You know what I mean? I thought that the play was definitely restricted to maybe about halfway up the half boards on that initial period, because it seemed like there was a little bit of hesitation to get that puck into the corner, keep it there in fear of having, somebody strip it and then pass it all the way up because of the extra, whatever it is, 7 feet on either side of the goal post. So, I thought, again, that was where I was seeing a little bit of the hesitation from the Sharks. And I thought that that's kind of what they were adapting to. Towards the end of the first period, I thought, and this was continue forward into the game, but I was remarking to Puck Guy, the east-west passing in the slot. I saw a lot of tic-tac-toe kind of plays being played in the rush, coming up ice. And I thought that didn't really start until maybe about halfway through that first period. And then they really kind of took advantage to having that extra space left to right. And then you saw a little bit more creativity kind of in the play, as that first period kind of wound up. I thought the lines were kind of interesting when you had Hertl centering Kunin and Timo. I thought that was that's where's the beef line, because that's a lot of boys right there, a lot of big boys right there.
And I just Barabanov's not going to be on this trip, but it's nice to see Hertl and Meyer get to things going, and Luke Kunin has looked pretty decent on that line there. And sure enough, not to spoiler alert to those who haven't seen the game today, all three of them made big dividends on this game, for sure. But that being said, Landi, they got into a little bit of penalty trouble early on, and then Giovanni Fiore, it's the opening goal. Right after practically both goaltenders came got let go. We had Reimer start along with and I can't believe I'm blanking on this one. On they only see the tough part with NHL.com, they didn't put both the netminders in. It was, let me pull it up here, Tobias and Kika, who started the game for Eisbaren Berlin. They were replaced about midway through, and then Markkanen and Kakkonen would get into the game, and Kakkonen would let it, I think it was his first shot by Fiore to make it 1-0, and boy, howdy did that place blow the roof off, and they could sense an upset in the making, even though they're like the two-time defending German League champions.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I thought that's kind of what really woke the Sharks up. They're like, okay, we better start, kicking it into gear, because then you saw a lot more play and possession of the puck down low. And then I think that's when they really started to use the cycle game. And so, they have it listed as Tomas Hertl unassisted here, but it should be a shadow assist for Timo, and I would even
absolutely
put a shadow assist on Kunin as well for getting it low first and then kicking it out to Timo, then to Hertl.
If I remember the announcement, sorry to jump in, but I mean, if I remember the announcement, they did give it to Meyer, and that was a nice pass between the defender's legs to Hertl for that goal. So it's nice to see that combo working already.
Yeah, and again, a great goal by Hertl. Hopefully, that's one of those ones he can build some confidence early in the season, and he's going to be the heart, and he's going to be the driver of the team on the forwards. Because I mean, Logan, if I took away anything, Logan looked a little ineffective in that game. I think overall I was a little disappointed in the showing of Lindbaum, and Couture and Kevin LeBanc. And again, Kevin LeBanc is a guy that I'm circling that needs to have a good year. And this is a guy that, I'm still a little concerned with the way he executes the puck down the ice. I'm concerned about the control when he's handling the ice. Handling it on the ice. And again, I wonder a little bit if he's fighting some nerves or fighting, something to the effect of something from a mental perspective, because it almost seems like he's passing up good opportunities to shoot yet again, and he's deferring yet again. And it's like, no, I you need to be the facilitator. You need to either make a quick shot, or you need to get it off to your line mates who can get that puck across the net. Now I saw that they had maybe a little bit more chemistry kind of going into the latter parts of the second. And I saw a couple really nice sequences with Lindblom close to the net, and that's how they're going to have to score, right? I mean, that particular line, you've got two puck hounds in Couture and Lindblom who like to play low. And, I think it's going to be for Kevin to really, take up a spot, maybe a quarter way up the half boards, and really, dish it out to them low. I think that's how they're going to make their bones on that line, because right now I'm not seeing quick enough shots coming from Kevin, and he seems, again, to just looking for that perfect pass, looking for that perfect play, and it's just not coming to him. So, if you don't get those, and you don't find yourself being in position to lay it in their on their tape, use your feet, move your feet a little bit, go a little bit closer, or move a little bit left to right. But he's got to make space for himself, and I think that's going to be key, especially in the early part of the season, to get him going. Is he needs to make his own space out on the ice. He needs to be comfortable to a point where he can make either a quick shot or a quick pass. But again, not allowing opposition to kind of get up in his face and make him make a move that he doesn't want to make. You know what I mean? I think again, he kind of, I'm a little concerned when he's pressured and when he's got a big body on him.
Yeah, and that's the concern I have for all these what people will call the undersized forwards, is that they will get scrunched big time. I think they'll use their skill, they'll use their agility to get through it. I think we saw that the other night when Daniil Gushchin had a hat trick against Vegas, which was, you love to see it. Come on now, people. I mean, he didn't make the traveling squad. He's back with the Barracuda, and then of course you saw Thomas Bordelot and William Eklund in the stands with which unfortunately for Nico Sturm, German-born, couldn't make it to play a game against Germany, which is a bummer, but definitely got into the pregame festivities as well there. But yeah, that the Hertl line's going to be a big one coming in, so they made it 1-1 there, and then 40 seconds later, the I guess what we'll call one of the pieces we got for Brent Burns, Stephen Lorentz, does some play, and it was a nice play all around. Gadjevich takes a hit. Landi, Lorentz sets up Carlson. Carlson takes a shot, and what he does is Lorentz gets into the front of the net. And this is what I like about Kunin and Lorentz, is that they're going to drive to the net and be the ones who get those dirty goals and pick up the rebounds or the tips.
Yeah, I mean, I saw two players who are big bodies that were not afraid to go to the net. And again, we had been asking for that, and had been asking for, just, some more traffic and more collecting the garbage around the crease. It's so cliche, but, it seemed like a lot, in seasons prior, we saw a lot of peripheral play. And I think, after Pavelski left, he was really a guy who stood there and took a lot of abuse. And it seemed like after he left, there was almost like this exodus away from the slot. The
Yeah.
play became so much more periphery based, and I like it when you've got a Lorentz or you've got a Kunin just crashing down on the net and just creating some havoc. You're gonna take it's gonna take a physical toll, right? And that's the kind of the problem is getting the guys to buy in on it. But if you have enough guys who are big enough and who can kind of buy into that style of play, if you've got everybody pulling on the same rope, you're gonna have some space out there, and maybe for a guy like Erik Karlsson, if you give him some space, he can maybe surprise some people and surprise what he's still got left. So I mean, I saw some good creativity from him there. There were a few plays on the defensive end, Erik Karlsson giveth, Erik Karlsson taketh away kind of stuff. But again, I like the meldings of that third line, and I liked the play that I saw from them. Very meat and potatoes. But again, I think that this team really does need to get back to basics on this kind of stuff, because for so long it had been such a skill show, so to speak.
Yeah. No, and it's nice that they're not going for the fancy play. It's nice that they are going for, trying to get in there, get your feet wet, get in there in the dirt, per se. Granted, of course, metaphorically speaking, because there's no dirt on the ice unless you played the Cow Palace way long ago, and who knows what else was in that dirt. But it's nice to see, getting into the tough part, getting in there, doing other things that was kind of lost over the last couple of years. So it was nice to see there. So all of a sudden, 2 goals in 40 seconds, and it goes from a 1-0. Oh shoot! Is Eisbaren Berlin about to embarrass the San Jose Sharks worldwide? To okay, the Sharks came back and did something about it. So it was nice after 2 periods to see that happening. And then the third period, Noah Gregor, I think, is assuming the role of Kevin Labanc. In this one, Land, he takes a couple of penalties. He had an interference call in the first period. He takes a high sticking call about midway through the third, and then a nice clear out by Ferraro sets Kunin up on a 2-on-1, and Kunin's like, I'm not passing you, Hertl. I'll take it myself. and honestly, Kunin has really made a name for himself in the preseason. I've really liked his play, and we've pretty much just talked about right here was this how he was able to get pucks on it, go get into dirt stuff, and everything.
Kunin, Ricky.
Kunin, yes. Sorry, Ricky, my bad. Kunin, Kunin, yes.
No, again, I think it's good to see him use his size and make some space for Tomas and for Timo to make crisscross plays. And I mean, honestly, that really is key for those guys to handle the puck. I mean, because we know Hertl's stick handling skills. I mean, we've seen it. We know what he does. Dangles for days, between the legs, whatever have you. If he can, nice backhand move. Actually, I saw a couple backhand shots today that were just like, wow, he must have been working on his backhand. But for Kunin, being the battering ram to make that space is so important. And it's not about like making interference plays or pick plays or things like that, but it's just kind of like that Tomas Holmstrom, kind of presence, right, that big butt parked in front of the goaltender. I mean, how many times have we said get in the goaltender's eyes? How many times have we said put some kind of impediment for him to move left to right, or for him to just have a different object in front of his face to kind of break up the ice a little bit. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's easier said than done for sure, because like we had kind of mentioned, it's a different kind of philosophy of buying in. But again, I saw similar styles of play through all 4 lines. It seemed like they were on the same page on, how they wanted to play. And I think for David Quinn, it's a good showing that, hey, the system is kind of sticking a little bit. The system is starting to come into view. You know what I mean? And it's not something that's so arbitrary or something that can't really be replicated in practice. Now you're seeing actual opposition able to present different kinds of looks, so that now you can play your game and kind of adjust it to make those fine adjustments that didn't come in practice, right? Because again, you cannot replicate game speed as much as you want to. So again, it's good to see that they have gelled lines 1 through 4. It doesn't look like each line has its own script. It looks like they're playing from the same playbook.
Yeah, which is nice to see, because in time there will be injuries, there'll be guys who need to have messages sent, so it'll be the next man up on there for the Sharks. Indeed, it's going to be one of those things. Let's talk about the goaltending situation. I mean, they did face a total of 19 shots. I thought both of them looked all right. I thought Kakinen came in at a rough time, with no warm up or anything, and gets the first shot and it goes in. But for both goaltenders, 18 of 19 on the night. That lone goal from Fiore to get the lone goal for Berlin. But other than that, I mean, Landi, I'll come to you, and I don't even know the answer to it. Who gets that start? I would assume they both split both games in Prague.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, at this point, both have shown a good level of play in that exhibition game, and I thought both have been decent through the preseason. I would suggest to just go with Kakinen on the Friday night game, only because, like I had said before, it really is setting the mark and setting the tone for the season as to who's going to be your starter, right? And I don't think that there's too much illusion. I mean, Reimer is here for one more year on his deal if he stays, through the trade deadline, what have you, where the Sharks are at. But as of this moment, the goalie of the future is Kakinen, right? So you don't want to start any kind of goaltender controversies already. I would suggest the easy money says Kakinen Friday, Reimer Saturday, and then Kakinen, I think, opens up on Friday after in San Jose.
Yeah.
I think that's, the Sharks, this team doesn't need any more drama or any more questions over the off season. They don't need to have any more turmoil, so why even go there with the goaltenders? I think there's been enough surprises and enough showing to rookies, especially we, like I had said before, or like we had talked a little bit before, Ryan Merkley not making the team, and going into also Eklund and Bordy, not getting the start tonight. Mikko Sturm again, kind of some questions there on where he's at. So again, I think that there's been enough message sending from this coaching staff to say, hey, look, we're keeping you honest. You've got to earn your way onto the team, and I think goaltending will be no different. If Kakinen comes out and lays a stinker on Friday, then it might affect the way in which who starts at home. But if Kakinen comes out and has a strong game, or has a decent game, let's say he posts above a 9-10 percentage or whatever, maybe 905, then I wouldn't think that would add any kind of controversy to that goalie mix. But if he lays an egg, I think then you've got Reimer, who is a proven starter, who is a guy who can take a big load, and you can go from there on if you want to make the call of, do I need to send the goaltender a message or not?
Right. Do you think on that part, that's a similar thing that Quinn's doing with Bordelot and
Merkley
Eklund?
and Eklund? Yeah, I think so. I think again that the team has not been shy about how it wants to conduct itself. I mean,
Yeah.
even on the broadcast this afternoon, they were speaking about how the team had 8 rookies in the lineup on the final game of the season last year, and they have no rookies in the lineup tonight.
Yeah, it's weird. I will mention Shang's quotes about that. And basically, David Quinn was saying they need to continue to improve and do the things we've addressed with them that'll allow to be successful NHL players. We're really happy with their progress. This is not in any way, shape, or form saying that we're disappointed with them. It's just a tough league.
Right, and again, it's they had wanted competition, and they wanted these players to earn their spots on the ice, and I think the message has been sent that coasting will no longer be tolerated.
Nope.
I think it also sends the message that even as a high draft pick or a touted prospect in a system, you need to show why you were drafted there, and you need to earn the praises that have been sung. And I think that, I, it's definitely a different atmosphere for young players to come into, and maybe we've kind of drifted. I think the Sharks especially had drifted towards a more democratic, more embrace everybody's differences and everybody's flaws, and a lot of individualism. And now I think we've seen the pendulum swing back towards, no, this is about the crest in the front. This is about us moving towards a common goal. Yes, you can be an individual. Yes, we need to respect everybody's, whether it be just taking the nationality in perspective, and the Russian players not being able to go. I think Greer really, really drew a sand in the line, or a line in the sand, and said, "Look, we're all a team, and we're all going, or we're all not going." And it sends a message to the locker room that they're playing for something bigger than themselves, and that has not been a message sent in that locker room for 3 seasons at least.
Yeah, it seems like they're all individuals trying to work together when it has to be a team oriented play. And it's tough to think about it that, how this team is 5-1 in the preseason, and you're like, ooh, okay, maybe they're on to something. At the same time, though, it is preseason. You're not showing off all your cards. Not everybody's in the lineup. This is probably the closest to the lineup we've seen all preseason with this team tonight. And granted, no Nico Sturm. You did get Lindblom back. You lose Nadavara, early in the preseason. So it'll be interesting to see how things work out. It's almost like it's a preseason game, but it counts for these two. And it's a weird schedule for the Sharks. I mean, you have them go all the way to Germany, play an exhibition in Germany, then you're going to play 2 games in Czechia, with Nashville. Then you're going to basically get a week off, come home, play a back-to-back with Carolina and Chicago, and then you're back out on the road. And then you hit up practically, the New York metro area plus Philly, and then you come back for, at least a trio games to finish out October. So it's a weird month. Concerned about the jet lag?
Well, we
As
did
one
see
who,
it. We did see it. We did see this a little bit. What was it? 2010 season when they came back from Sweden, and I remember they had a particularly rough stretch for I want to say it was like a week and a half. I want to say it was like a 3 or 4 game losing streak when we got back. Might have even been longer. But, I could see the team struggling. But let's say this. I think we should shoot for, in this month of October, I would say 500 hockey. If you can sustain 500 hockey through the month of October, I think you're setting yourself up for good things, right? I mean, there's going to be a lot of travel. Yes, there's going to be a lot of back and forths. But if you just kind of keep the eye around 500 and get it to the point where you get back to the consistency of on for a week, home, off, out for a week, on for off, on, get the away home groove kind of going, I think it will be okay. So for me, at least, for what I'm highlighting is let's just keep it 500 in October, and then kind of go from there, see where the chips fall. The concerns are, again, we've lost Nidivara, and we're still kind of wondering where Barabanov is. Again, some roster questions still to be answered. We'll see. I mean, yeah. This game taught us a few things on the Sharks, but also too, you also have to look at the competition, right? I mean, Nashville is a completely different team and has completely different factors you have to play against, and we'll see how this roster, constructed as it is, plays against Nashville. I think that'll give me a better gauge on where the season is going to be. Even though it's the first couple of regular season games, I almost look at it as like a pre-season, so to speak, even though they are part of the regular season.
Right.
But it kind of just shows where they're at, what they've got in this lineup now, and how much those pieces that are sitting on the table will aid the team going forward. And like I told you, I'd say if you can get battle out of 500 out of here, I think that'll go a long way to showing me the team can, maybe put up a fight for a wild card spot or something. But again, I think there's so much flux in the forward core, and so much was moved in and out that I kind of got to see it against a working NHL roster before I can really get a good gauge on where we're going to be.
Yeah, and we'll find that out on Friday at 11 a.m. as the Sharks take on the Nashville Predators in the NHL Global Series. The patch says Czech Republic. I think the technical term now is Czechia. We'll ask Tomas Hertl all about that, down the road. I think that's pretty much everything we got covered up, my friend. Anything to add, Chad? If there's anything else you want us to chat about before we get on out of here, let us know. Shang is tweeting out that Quinn has said everybody is healthy. So it looks like everybody's on the up and ready to roll for Friday. Looks like Sturm will most likely be in the lineup.
All right. Well, we got a request from Ricky here, Puck Guy, while you're kind of going through, the rest of the sequence there from the after game notes.
Yep.
But he really wants to talk about Merkley and really wants to talk about why he was not put on this roster. And I mean, I think we went around, we danced around it a little bit, but
a little bit, yep.
This is a guy that needed to show up in camp with a fire under his ass, because there is a wide open offensive defenseman type slot, right-hander, on this San Jose Sharks squad. That third pairing offensive defenseman is a vacant hole, and he was the guy penciled in to be there. I mean, in the shadow docket or shadow roster, Greer would never tell you that, but I think there was a certain level of expectation that, hey, look, this is a kid that got, 15 games last year, 10 games, something like that. Mm-hmm. Got enough of a cup of coffee to be like, this is what it's like. This is what it's going to be like. If you want to be part of the show, you want to be up here. It's going to take some real work and going to require some real maturity and growth in your game and development in your game. We didn't get that in the preseason. We got a guy who is still prone to making mistakes in his own end. Now, I'm not expecting him to be, the next coming of Nick Lidstrom in his own zone, but a guy who can take the puck, make simple decisions, make simple passes, or hold on to it to the point where he can make some space for himself and make an outlet kind of appear by having some possession in his own zone, but have the ability to hold on to the puck in his own zone. But again, it's a guy that's easily stripped of the puck in his own zone, a guy that if he doesn't see the exact opportunity he wants, seems to have an issue doing some ad hoc play. You know what I mean? And a guy that still questions on the way in which he expresses himself and the way in which he goes about being demonstrative in his play, and something that I would hope that he would work on, and something that I've had to work on too. And I think most people, it's how you outlet your emotions, but still, that level of maturity and professionalism, I haven't seen that growth yet. And I'm wondering if the organization is cluing in on that as well.
It makes you wonder, and I see him, he's stick handling a lot, and he's not making those quick decisions. And that's what I saw at the rookie tournament, and it's like, oh man, dude, come on. I'm rooting for the guy because, I want him to be successful and do a phenomenal job, but I think he overthinks things maybe a little bit too much. Ian making a good comment in the chat. He's saying by fans, sure, by the org, I'm not sure. They signed a lot of vets that basically blocked Merkley's path. You don't sign guys just to lose them on waivers. And the same could be said maybe, for Bordelot and Eklund, to give them more seasoning with the Barracuda. I mean, I think everybody's been excited about the Barracuda, the new arena and everything, and maybe give them more seasoning and not have, what was it, 18 rookies last year?
Yeah.
To solidify that.
By having those one-way deals, right? By having those deals for these veterans, you're absolutely right, Ian. The impediment was placed, and I think that's why the preseason was so important for Eklund, for Bordelot, and for Merkley, those three in particular, who we would like to see, get a real shot up here. But there was an artificial barrier placed in front of them that they had to push through this preseason, and we just didn't see it. And that's okay. That means that they're not ready yet. It means that there is a security blanket there in that artificial floor that the team put there. Now, whether or not that's going to hinder the big club going forward, that's a different discussion, right? And it's a different discussion on how long these veteran roadblocks are going to be in place for those players. But again, we needed to see them have a wow preseason, and we didn't see it. Now, Bordelot had a good preseason. I wouldn't say it was bad. Eklund left me a little disappointed. Merkley left me very disappointed. But I think, the guy that showed he should get a shot before those three was Gushkin. I mean, that hat trick, in the preseason game before coming over. Yeah, I mean, that should buy you at least an audition in the final preseason game. So I too was a little, I'm not upset. I'm not, losing sleep over it or anything like that. But I thought that was enough of a show, enough of a push to be like, hey, give him a second look. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and don't think that when they need somebody with the skill and everything, that Gushchin gets his chance to come up. The other two, Bordelot and Eklund, just have the NHL playing experience already. So they're a little more comfortable, I would think, within the organization. Granted, when Bordelot last played, there was a completely different regime behind the bench in the front office, but it is what it is.
And again, with a new front office, all of those players that were highly touted are just guys that are hearsay for Greer, right? Because he wasn't here, he didn't go through the profiling for drafting these players. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have any kind of attachment, to this previous regime, and that's the unfortunate part is, bringing in a new GM is like almost square one. He has to reevaluate every piece that he's got. And I'm sure he's building up files for those guys right now.
For sure.
But because he was so new, I think the addition of the free agent signings and the veteran signings were because he didn't know what he had. And it's going to take some time to figure out what he's got.
Right.
And so, again, the artificial barrier was placed, whether it was intentional for the kids or whether it was more along the lines of Greer just didn't know what he had, so he might as well get some known quantities. I think that's a debate to be had. But it doesn't surprise me that this is the way that they're going. Everything in the offseason, just through the way in which they've wanted to play, the type of play that they want to set, the types of moves that they made have all suggested that there is a grand idea, a grand work here at play, but it's going to take some time. Did it reset? Did Greer coming on fundamentally reset the rebooting of the team? I don't think so. You got to figure that he had to be a little bit in concert with Hasso on kind of the idea of when the team needs to compete and kind of a little bit of a vibe of the marketplace. But he's also played here too, and I'm sure he remembers, the fervor that the fans have and knows how disappointed they get and knows how at times the fan base can be, I won't say fickle, but can definitely voice their displeasure with their wallets. And I think he's aware of that too. So there's a lot of juggling that needs to happen in order for these players to get onto the team. They had to have shown an ability to shoulder that responsibility, and they just haven't shown that yet.
It'll take time, and maybe we expect them to show off. I don't want to say show off, but make a statement when they're with the Barracuda. And I think what I was trying to get to earlier, and Ricky, you mentioned it, they said that he was already on his way down before the hat trick. Yeah, he could be on his way down before the hat trick, and I completely agree with that. But that hat trick makes them think about it a little bit more. It's like, ooh, okay, this guy looks pretty decent.
Should make them
that's his way of sending that message, like, okay, I'll be ready whenever you want me to come up. So, and that's nice to have. And let's be honest, healthy competition is something that is desperately welcomed in the organization right now. So to have these kids marinate, it will be a good thing. It's going to be frustrating though. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's be very honest. It's going to be frustrating when the team is losing 2-1, 2-0. We saw what they had last year offensively. We've seen them do outside, I think, the Vegas game in the preseason, they didn't do a whole lot on the power play. Penalty killing, they did fantastic, but the power play is going to be something that's going to be highly magnified, especially if it gets into a big rut. That's when I think you're going to start seeing the fans be like, okay, come on, let's give Eklund a shot. Let's give Bordelot a shot. And down the road, Gushchin. And for that matter, Merkley. give them a chance to be offensive creative, and teams like, no, we're not going to Mirko Mueller this.
Yeah,
And I think it's a good way of putting it.
yeah. I mean, we saw how that rush timetable affected Mirko, and we saw how it affected players like Sasha Chmelevski and Chekovich,
Yep.
and they don't want a repeat of a flash in the pan situation. I think Noah Gregor, I mean, this has got to be the year to put up or shut up. I mean, you know what I mean? He's got to be on razor thin ice, and so for me at least, I don't want the team to fall victim of you're a vet and you get to play. I really do want to see accountability even at the veteran level, and I want to see a guy like Erik Karlsson get his power play time cut if he's not hacking it, or a reduction in minutes for a guy like Mario Ferraro if he makes a Brent Burns-esque type play. So again, I just want to see accountability 1 through 12 and 1 through 6. And even shoot both the goaltenders as well. I just want to see fair, balanced, and again, just everybody pulling on the same rope at the same time in the same direction. And then you can really see where the talent level lies. And I'm hopefully optimistic of this season. But again, there are questions that are still left to be answered.
The 5-1 preseason record just gives you that little bit of hope of like, okay, this team might not be so bad after all, and at the same time in the back of your head is like, no, be bad. Let's get Connor Bedard. So it's going to be interesting, and quite honestly, it's going to be an interesting, fun ride all season long for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how the on ice product evolves. I think from game to game, and I want to see if this new change in leadership starts to trickle down to the players, and really, give us something to cheer for. And give us some hope that the team can pull off this rebuild, retool on the fly, because right now, I mean, after 3 seasons of being out of the playoffs, I think I'm kind of got that glazed over kind of look to me, you know what I mean? So baby steps, and this is a good baby step.
Yep.
And we'll see what they bring out on Friday.
Yep, that'll be a fun one, and that's when we kick things off for real. 11 a.m. Puck drop for Sharks and Predators from Prague, Czech Republic, or Czechia, is either way. That'll be on NBC Sports California for both games. Both 11 a.m. for Friday and Saturday against Nashville. We will be here throughout everything. So in case you missed anything, or you want to watch this again, there's your cue, Landi. Check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, you name it, you love it. Always available at tealtownusa.com. Of course, you can watch the replay on YouTube as well. And if you aren't watching us live, by all means, leave a comment. What do you think of the 5-1 preseason? Who's your goaltender? Who's your starting goaltender going in? Are you happy or sad that Bordelot and Eklund didn't get in? So leave us a comment of what you think of what the Sharks are going to be doing in 2022-2023. So, Landi, back to you.
Well, final thoughts are, let's get this season off to a strong start. Let's see the team kind of gel and, kind of coalesce in this little sprint out to Czechia. And you can catch me across all the social media platforms using my first name. That's Erik, and my last name, Landi.
He spells it the right way, folks, just like I do. Sorry. I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. We will be back with you Friday afternoon, local time here in the Pacific time zone, following Sharks and Predators as we kick off season 32 of Sharks hockey. That's crazy to think. Season 32. And when we kick off season number 9 of After Dark. So with that, for Erik, Landi, for myself, I'm Erik Kuhre. For the entire crew here at Teal Town USA, thank you for watching. We look forward to you joining us as we get on this roller coaster ride that is Sharks hockey starting Friday afternoon. And until then, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching. We will see you after Game 1 on Friday.